Hey everybody, welcome to another little update. We are in the last few days of the Kickstarter. Thank you once again to everybody who's backed so far. Uh, we did it, we're funded. But I wanted to take an opportunity here to just look at some board setups from the last few game nights and from like during the process of taking pictures for the Kickstarter and whatever, to help give you guys some ideas of what you can do with the set, and then sort of your additional pieces um, that you may add to sort of supplement your set or that you already have in your collection. So here we go. This first one, I mean, like, what's more exciting than pictures from my vacation, right? Um, this first one is just one I set up to take pictures of the terrain um, for tournament prep and as I was making the set and then for the Kickstarter. So this was like a layout on my 6x3. This is like the mat that like goes with the set, or at least how I painted mine. This is the P-Work War Games. Alien Planet, I think it's called. Um, yeah, but it's nice. It's nice. It's a little on the contrasty side um, for their stuff, but you can see there's a good mix of line of sight blockers. Remember, these little gravel pit walls are tall enough to block line of sight. Um, so middle is pretty secure from at least one direction, which is good. Let's look at some more. All right, this is the setup that I did at the Circle City Cup tournament in Indy. It was on the north side. I think we had 20 people show up. We had 32 people register and 20 people show up. RIP. Um, but this was the setup we did there. I didn't get to play on this board. I rarely get to play on my boards. Sad day. Um, but this was a pretty fun setup. Everybody said it worked out great. Um, Here I put the big power core a little closer to the middle. But this little bit that sticks out, this little bit of foundation piece right here. I mean, that's straight out of the original game, but it adds just a nice little extra bit of heavy cover if you're setting up here, right? Like you can line a sight block from both sides, and you got a little bit of heavy cover from this other angle too. It works out nice. Here's just another angle. I had the lights turned on, so you can see the little prefabs are lit up. I do think I want to try to wire this before I seal it and deal with that seam, the power core, I mean. Then we got the big crystals. I have a couple more videos in the tank still. I think one of them's about making foam crystals, and then I've got one about um, sponge painting, talking about like painting the power core. But I've got some, hang on, I've got some little silos I built. Some little greebly silos. I got two of them. Because like my Imperial Factory set, I felt like needed just like two more blockers to kind of, because it's like most of my terrain is like trash terrain, sort of the old ways, right? But I had like a giant tub full of Nerf gun parts and uh, get in frame, dingus. You'd think I know by now, but I don't. Nerf gun parts and like old vacuum cleaner parts and stuff. And I was like, I gotta quit carrying this box of parts around. I gotta actually have some terrain because I'm willing to carry a box of terrain around, but I'm too old to just have a box of junk. So I made it all into terrain, and it's way more than one table worth. So you get a lot of variety, but it's like just barely two tables worth. It feels okay, but it's like there's usually like a spot where you're like, I wish there was a little more line of sight blocking here. So I've got two of these. They're like some, I don't know, drink mix or something thing. My wife was like, "Do you want this?" And I was like, "Yes." And so with my last few little greebles from some model kits and stuff that I had left around and some styrene, I've done these, and I could just paint these and record it. So I think I'm going to do that instead of like me talking about painting and just holding up a model. Um, so I'm going to try to do that in this weekend. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow night. I'll record it and then it'll go up before the Kickstarter ends. But I thought that would be more useful. But I think there is some useful stuff to the sponge painting business to talk about. Okay, so this back to why we were here. I don't want this to be too long, but I also don't want it to be go away, Windows. Um, we did a bounty hunter night at our local game store, which is with the 317 gang. Um, so what we did was it was skirmish. You had to take a bounty hunter. Field commander didn't apply, sort of like most scenarios work. And you could take any bounty hunter in any faction. Those were the rules. Um, it was super fun. And I think it was very successful. There were some interesting lists. Most lists tended to be legal, oddly enough. Like I was thinking of running Yoda Cad Bane for a bit, but then I just went back to Palpin Din and two Flamer Snows and got wrecked. I did terrible. I thought that was really clever. Turns out, no. I mean, the B ones I ran into saved like incredibly well. So, but that's skirmish. Skirmish is a little dicey because there's so few rules. So this was a layout for skirmish. Um, and this was another layout for skirmish. So I did two tables out of my one board, and there's plenty of stuff. You can see the cargo tug didn't even make it onto either of these setups. But yeah, lots of good line of sight blockers, difficult area pieces to plonk around, which is nice. Um, is this the same one from a different angle? Oh, this is the same one from like the north side and from the south side. I clicked twice. And then this is the other table. This is the other table. See different pieces. So um, I really love this processing center being just at height one on these short sides, not on the front side with the like facade, the tall facade. But this is great. Wookiees love this spot. Get up here. It's hard to run off of because really you only have this side to run off of. On this side, there's like the pipes kind of in the way for part of it, and on this side, the little balcony's in the way. So you end up having to do two scales down this one side. But that's nice. It limits the threat vectors for non-jump stuff, which is kind of good, right? Like you want a piece to be interesting for everything, but not all in the same way. That's really good to have a couple of those. Like this thing, you could kind of run off it in any direction you want. Um, Cup. Sure, Windows. My phone disconnected. Whatever. It's because I have Unity open. It's like trying to connect to my device so it could run connected. These are the challenges of being a game dev. You do this kind of thing. All right. So here are a couple good setups. You see we got cargo crate down here. People have been asking if the cargo crates are separate. There's separate cargo crates, and then I'm gonna do two versions of the ship. Midsection, the cargo. I'm not going to grab it. We're not doing that. I'm going to grab it. Pause. Resume. Okay. Uh, I didn't have to say resume. I click a button. It's Camtasia. So a couple people have asked if these little things are magnetized. They're not magnetized. Um, they're actually the space here is actually slightly shorter than what is necessary to fit three containers. So they're smooshed together. Um, that's by design, right? So that they collide with each other for strength. They overlap. But I could do a section like this where it's got all three. I could do them where they're all up for like flight mode. That would be fine. And then I could do one where there's none and it will have all three sets of like the loading anchors down. If you look really close, I don't know if that's going to show up at all. Probably not. But there are little loading anchors in here. They're not very well cleaned up because it all got printed together. But, and you can't really see but the edge right in here. If you're really eyeballing it, you know, when you're playing, because you look down at everything pretty much when you play. Which is why I didn't really paint the bottoms. Yeah, yeah. So I'll do a couple versions of that. That's easy. Because it's deleting and copying things. I'm willing to do that extra bit. Okay, back to slideshow. Okay, I took two pictures of that one. Okay, and this is from last night. Played a really good game of Intercept here against Captain Nita, who you probably know from the Legion Discord. Um, He ran IG-88 Boba. It's a tough build, but I specifically put this together knowing there would be bounty hunters because they're new. Uh, so my list was Cassian, K2 Chewie, um, 2 full commando units with hunter and transponder and sniper rifles. I really like that unit. I prefer to even get like E-gear in there, but I knew I needed a little bit of a bid, and I knew I needed I also like to get smokes in there if I can. Just so if they have to like run up to take a shot, they could keep their low profile going with a smoke grenade. I really like that unit, and it's really effective at hunting bounty hunters, which was the point. Because Chewie's there to soak wounds to keep Cassian up if he's the bounty target, or K2 if he's the bounty target. Although he's usually with incognito, you buy yourself enough time, right? And then I put a couple ATRTs in there. Probably not the move. He ended up running 4 T-21s, Stormtrooper units as his like backup. It's like his core, and so that didn't work so good. Um, ATRT is not a particularly good unit, but if you catch a matchup where the other guy has no impact, they can be really tough to contend with. And then I have four naked rebel troopers. Um, we did a lot of work, but I ended up one squad short at the very end. It was really close. It came down to the final shot. He had to kill Chewie to tie mid. Yeah, tie mid and then win by 1 point. I think that was right. So here's another layout though. Um, as you can see, I normally pack the cargo tug separate, so it doesn't make it into a lot of these shots. But um, Chewie and Boba both loved hopping around this thing in the middle. Um, we ended up playing fortified. I think there's more pictures. Yeah, so we ended up playing fortified, so you can see there's even more barricades got plunked down. So there's a lot of heavy cover on the approach to mid. Nita was stacked up back here with all his Empire boys. I was down here doing this stuff. I could not kill this sniper for the life of me. Cassian and this other sniper team dumped a bunch of shots trying to slow that guy down. That did not work. Um, yeah, and I maybe should have tried to just like hold out, but this blue guy they started getting angles on him because the bases are so big. And so he had 3 wounds and I kind of had to go. Um, but yeah, commandos did work. I killed both Boba and IG-88, so no bounties were claimed. Here's an angle. You can see the different alleys. Plenty of stuff, which is great. These block line of sight to silhouettes. So from like K2 or the sniper down here, you can't see any of these dudes back here. It's nice. But they're not tall, which is like easy to play around, which is pretty great. Pretty great. Like sometimes you get into it, like a kind of a corridor situation like this, it kind of becomes a little bit of a nuisance if you're trying to like figure out line of sight for a guy like in the middle of some mess. But with these little pits, you could spread some of the bigger pieces out and still have really great amount of line of sight coverage. Um, yeah, here's blue getting lit up. The other guy's over here, I think, or he's dead. Yeah, yeah, that is how it went. There's IG doing IG stuff, looking the wrong way. Fortunately, facing doesn't matter. Yeah, Boba hopped down here. That was a real problem. And he whipcorded Chewie. Poor Chewie. Chewie almost won the game, though. Here we can see some paint work, the sponge painting with the chips and stuff. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that process. I have a video for that. I have a couple. Well, that's the one that I'm gonna record another one of. Because I think it's useful information, but I want to give it to you in like the best possible format, not just a whatever. So I hope this gets you pumped about building, printing, and painting your set, putting them together. Gives you some ideas. Like I didn't bring a mat, obviously. This is just on some snow, but like this paint scheme works pretty good. Holds up well. This is towards the end. Cassian's up here tied up, Cap in middle. Chewie ran down here, and he gets killed by this squad. I could just not quite whittle green down amongst everything else that I whittled down. And there were a few guys that were one dude left, and this squad panicked off the board. I don't know that they could have double moved and made it. It would have been really close, but they probably could have moved and shot one of these single dudes to death, or at least suppressed this squad, and would have held on. But this is where we ended up. Chewie died right here. There's a greasy hairball. It used to be Chewie. Yeah, this is his corpse being drug off the field by me because we ran up to here and scaled up, take shots on stuff. Um, yeah, so that was it. This was a good game. This was, just another look. I've been taking, or I've been meaning to take pictures, but it's hard to remember to take pictures when you're playing. I struggle with that. So I would try to make a conscious effort to take pictures of everything to help give you some more ideas of how it's going to play, how you could set up tables. I haven't even glued this pipe piece all together. It's just in two chunks. They fit so snugly. Like this balcony is keyed into this pipe so snug that you just and then it just, I think I did that in the video. So you can pull that whole piece off if you don't want to do this pipe thing. I like having that bit of difficult to move over chunk right there. But if you don't want it, then you can just have a nice square building that's like a good set of dimensions. Um, where it'll block line of sight to some stuff, but with some effort you can defeat it, which is usually the right thing. You don't want these pieces that are so big that they're unassailable. That's no fun. So there you go. Pics of the set. We're in the last few days here. I will paint these things up and record it. I've got to get them primed. I'll go do that now. I think it's warm enough. I'm in the Midwest, so it's brisk in the mornings right now, but really nice in the afternoon. But usually I'm busy in the afternoon. So yeah, there you go. If you have more questions about the set, or there's more subtle variations you want to see, like the crates, let me know, because that stuff is easy to do. Oh yeah, on this. So the gear is separate. We'll talk about this real quick. The gear is already separate. So these on this one, I had the gear printed in resin, and then they have little grooves on the back that line up to the panel lines on the rear of the ship here. Get in frame. One of these days I'll figure it out. Um, and so it just slots right in there. Glues in really easy and nice, which is cool. Yeah, so if you wanted to do like an in-flight model, I'll do one with this middle one tucked all the way up, so they're just in a line. And then you could do it. You could do an in-flight model if you just wanted a cool model to hang from your ceiling, or whatever. That would be pretty sweet. Put it on a flight stand. Oh, snap! On a flight stand. Be a cool scenario. Intercept the thing. Make it fly corner to corner. That'd be fun. And then you've got crates to put down when it crashes. It's perfect. All right, guys. Thanks again, everybody who supported. A couple more updates coming, and we'll see you in the next one.